of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If I could ask someone to move the agenda table, please. Moved by Vice President Stencil, seconded by Mr. Butler. Is there anybody have any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? I just have two. On 9.01, it should be the 26-27 course offering guide as opposed to 25-26. And I would like to move 1.08 fire truck donation up to 1.05 and move 1.05, 1.06, and 1.07 down. With that, all those in favor of the agenda is amended? That passes 8-0. And where is it here? We have some special guests here this evening, members of our Responding to Emergencies program and members of the Ridge Road Fire District. At this time, I would like to extend a warm welcome to the Ridge Road Fire District team, Chief Sean McGarry, Deputy Chief Joe Muniz, Battalion Chief Brian Gibo, and members of the Ridge Road Fire District who are here with us this evening. On behalf of the Board of Education and the entire Greece Central School District, our students, our teachers, staff, and community, please accept our sincere appreciation for your department's donation of the American LaFrance fire engine to our Responding to Emergencies program. Your incredibly generous donation of this fire truck is a gift that goes far beyond a piece of equipment. It is a powerful tool for learning and a symbol of your dedication to our students' successes. You are showing our students in the most tangible way that our community believes in them. You are giving them resources that will spark curiosity and provide unparalleled opportunities for learning and community service. Not only has the Ridge Road Fire District continued to support our students and our community through continued donations, your team spends countless hours working hands-on with our Responding to Emergency students and teacher Chris Moras. Your contribution to this program will continue to inspire future first responders, mechanics, engineers, and firefighters. Thank you for your service, your partnership, and your vision. We look forward to the continued growth of the Responding to Emergencies program. Please join me in a round of applause for the Ridge Road Fire District. And before we do a picture, I just want to say, Battalion Chief Gibo and I, this is coming from the heart a little bit, Battalion Chief Gibo and I, way back in the day, long time ago, thought about responding to emergencies long before it ever existed. What an amazing program it could be for our students and for our community. I mean, it's not quite where Battalion Chief Gibo and I dreamed it would be, but it's in a great position. It's so much further ahead than I ever thought. I mean, it's probably, as board president, and being on this board, it's one of my most cherished accomplishments is this Responding to Emergencies program. Some of you know I retired from the Ridge Road Fire District as a firefighter, spending most of my adult life there growing up with most of these guys that are in the room tonight that work at the Ridge Road Fire District. So I just want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for our students and our community. I truly appreciate this donation. I don't think you know how much it means to our students and to our families in this community, and hopefully a whole bunch of future firefighters in the back of the room. So if you guys could all come up and we do a big picture again inside, where it's a little bit lighter, that we can get everybody smile faces. Let's do this. Thank you.
Ride to school on my birthday.
Can we maybe get you guys down like down on one knee in front maybe? Would that work? Like kind of in the center. Fill in the center. Yeah, all you big guys. You're too tall. You make us look short. Brian, you're gonna have to move out because he's still taller than you kneeling.
put the two peoples together. There's another two.
Flagler, get in a picture. She knew better.
No, Reg.
Yeah, you're my right. You're near me.
Thank you.
We'll just have to switch between the next one. So this one's done. I can't remote this right now.
Okay.
So this is
Do you just close the PD one, or, so after they're done, bring up that one?
the student, yeah. And then that's the budget.
Okay,
That would be helpful.
okay.
All right, moving on. We're moving to our students from Greece Athena. Welcome this evening.
Hello, I'm Marley Standing. I'm Larissa Clifford. We are senior representatives of the student government at Greece Athena, and we're here to show you some of the stuff that's been going on this fall. So first, we started a new way of giving morning announcements. We live stream them via YouTube, and students such as Bailey Katina, Addison Chipoto, and Ariana Malone are featured as regular speakers, and we have some guests as well.
In September, we had Spirit Week and our pep rally. On Monday, we had Toga and PJ Day. Tuesday was Cartoon Day. Wednesday, we had Color for Cause. Thursday was Decades Day. And Friday was our signature Black and Gold Day. We also had our homecoming game and dance. The Fall Fling Homecoming Dance had almost 400 students in attendance. And the game itself was a hit. We lost, unfortunately, but it was still a great atmosphere, and everybody was really excited.
Some fall sports that have been going on. We've had football, women's soccer, and boys soccer. Football went 2-6. Women's won 14 of their games, and men's soccer went 7-10. Some more sports are the girls storm tennis and the cross country team. Tennis went 9-6, and they had their pink out tournament in Webster for breast cancer awareness. Students such as Lily Munson and Lariva Hart won in their division. Cross country, they had their senior night at Basil Morella, and senior Nick Langdon was featured on prime time for finishing second at the Bob Goodell Invitational.
Recently, we had a Halloween Spooktacular concert in the music department. We had over 320 student musicians on stage, including the 7th and 8th grade band, 7th and 8th grade orchestra, high school concert band, high school orchestra, and high school symphonic band. Each group prepared an individual piece, and then at the end, everybody performed Thriller together, and everybody dressed up in their costumes to celebrate Halloween. The Grease Marching Band competed at the New York State FBC Championship at the JMA Wireless Dome in Syracuse. They put on a great performance and placed third in their division.
For the music department at Athena, we recently had our show Nonsense, which was a comedic musical featuring 9 nuns. They had their last show this previous Sunday, but moreover, in the music department, we have The Sound of Music coming up. Shows start in January and February, and auditions will be starting soon. Music students are preparing for their winter concerts on December 15th and 17th. Furthermore, the music department would like to thank the BOE and Cabinet for their support for their spring concert, their spring music trip to Cleveland for the music festival at Cedar Point.
Recently, there was a photography field trip. They went to Mendon Ponds. Students were immersed in the natural environment, and each student worked on developing skills in visual editing. They learned to capture the essence of place and moment through their work. Also, we have Art Curator Club. They are a collective of student artists that collaborate with peers from our school and other Greece high schools. The art show exhibition will be displayed in a storefront at the Greece Ridge Mall. We also have Yearbook Club. This year, the theme has been decided, and we are learning the ropes of our new partnership with Jostens and their magnificent program, Yearbook Avenue.
Furthermore, our newspaper is going to be released soon for the fall of 2025. This will be the first quarter, and there will be 3 more later on in the year.
Athena is above the influence. We have ATI Club, and every year they have their school-wide prevention campaigns, such as the Reasons to Rise, the Facts, Who's Got Your Back, and Gain and Loss. This past week, a week ago, they had Red Ribbon Week activities, and these are some photos of that. We also have renovations going on in our library. It's set to be finished and ready for January of 2026. It will be a modernized space for staff and students to work. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're not going to get away without a picture. We have to do a picture. But first, I think I got to put Bailey on the spot. What was the joke of the day today, Bailey?
Oh, no. What's the joke of the day today?
Am I putting you on the spot? I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, wait. It was something about a turkey. Next meeting, I'll have it.
You better have it for the next meeting. The rest of the year, at our meetings that you're here, you're going to have a joke of the meeting, all right? So if we can come up and do a picture, that'd be great. Bailey, why don't you join us, since it's your school? Dr. Zaffetz, the board. Mr. Fulkerson, Mr. Clifford. That guy doesn't look like you. Tuck in there, tuck in. Thank you. Good holidays. All right, moving into our union comments. Mr. Mock, you're up, GTA.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Mock. I am a teacher at Athena High School, and I also am serving as the Vice President of Financial Records for the Greece Teachers Association. So I'm here to just give you a little bit of updates about what we've been working on. So first thing, we're going to say thank you to Captain Michelle Vlakovic for all her walkers and their amazing work in this year's Making Strides event in support of the American Cancer Society. We also want to thank everyone who donated to the GTA Making Strides team. Your generosity made a real difference. And together, the GTA proudly contributed over $1,500 to support this incredible cause. Coming up is School-Related Professionals Day on November 18th. SRP Recognition Day is a time to celebrate the dedication and expertise of the staff who help make our schools run smoothly every day. We especially take this time to recognize our NYSUT friends in AgSUP, but also all of our colleagues in our district. This day offers a well-deserved opportunity to say thank you to the professionals who are truly the backbone of our school communities. The GTA will be sending a special treat for AgSUP members in all buildings, and will also be working with building reps to provide financial support through our GTCP grant process for any additional treats that help amplify our gratitude. We will also be distributing pins, stickers, and signs to recognize all of our SRPs. We are also proud to share that the Greece Teachers Community Programs, the GTA's nonprofit organization, has once again partnered with Operation Warm to provide brand new coats for students in need across the district. This marks our 10th consecutive year supporting this initiative, helping to ensure that every child feels warm, cared for, and ready to learn as winter approaches. Distribution of this year's coats will take place soon, and we extend heartfelt thanks to everyone who has helped make this effort possible through your continued generosity and commitment to our community, especially to our honorary GTA member, Brent Critchley, who without his work over the last several years, a lot of our things wouldn't have gotten off the ground. He's been absolutely instrumental in a lot of the work that we've been doing. Additionally, I would like to take a moment to mention a new grant that the GTCP is funding this year focused on supporting elementary schools. The GTCP recognizes that buildings have projects, celebrations, and activities that oftentimes cannot be met through the building budget or fundraising efforts. In an attempt to help, the GTCP would like to provide $500 grants to buildings to offset the cost of such endeavors. Examples of such projects would be school-wide celebrations for meeting wildly important goals, activities that encourage parent engagement in the schools, and the funding for materials for such events. Grants will be awarded to projects that benefit the whole school, not just individual grades, classrooms, or teachers. So we're hoping that more schools will be able to take advantage of this. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mock. Gassa, Shauna Sweet. And Ashley? Sorry.
Hi, we're here for GASA updates. My name is Shauna Sweet.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley Dean Marino.
So tonight we're going to be talking about DCIA, also known as the Department of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, and how we have partnerships for academic growth. So the question that we asked was, how have DCIA and schools collaborated to boost learning for every student?
So we wanted to start with highlighting the leadership meetings that we are having focusing on the literacy strategies and look-fors for leaders. So in October, curriculum leaders and TOSAs led station activities to model the extended learning portion of vocabulary routines for K-12 leaders. In December, there's going to be a focus on strategies for complex text and academic discourse in that same station learning format. On the screen, you can see the different breakout sessions that were offered. And of course, please note the picture where we have our favorite district leaders engaging in a Play-Doh-based activity.
And speaking of vocabulary, I'm excited to talk about Pine Brook. So Pine Brook has already been steadily receiving support from DCIA members this fall to support their SEP goal lead measures. PPS has supported the behavior goals, decreasing disruptions with therapeutic crisis intervention trainings, and monthly offerings of those TCI verbal trainings. We also had instructional supports from Todd, Julie, and Shauna's offices to teach and model vocabulary practices at Pine Brook. So we actually went to Pine Brook and modeled some of those activities with the Pine Brook staff. And many people even joined their first annual vocabulary parade last week. And those are some of the delightful pictures that you see on your screens of the vocabulary parade.
At English Village, the bilingual program staff have been working with the bilingual art coach Liz Shaheen to support curriculum implementation. The art coach demonstrated a kindergarten classroom lesson with some strategies to develop Spanish oral language using phrases with high utility and function. The team reviewed the biliteracy planning guide and the IRLA Anil matrix. The Anil is the Spanish version of the IRLA reading assessment, and we discussed the importance of referring to the matrix as the true dual language data wall as it portrays biliteracy, one of the core goals of the Greece dual language program.
Okay, so from Buckman Heights, our DCIA team continues to play a key role in supporting our SEP work. Major shout out to Michelle Barton, who helped Buckman craft our goals. At Buckman Heights, they've intentionally centered efforts around Reading Lab, teaching reading with purpose and clarity. So students are working on rigorous instruction with their IRLA Power goals every day, leaning into accountable talk and using evidence from text. Teachers have been focusing on designing lessons that are not only highly intentional, but also highly engaging and joyful. So you can see the picture, it shows an example of collaboration. They're trying to inspire instruction that's rigorous and fun. So in this case, students are learning about blends and digraphs through a structured literacy game with small group instruction. These kinds of lessons show how we can embed play, strategy, repetition, and conversation into literacy instruction in ways that deepen skills and reading engagement.
Don't worry, we're not doing all the buildings, but Arcadia Middle School is working closely with DCIA members to incorporate strong instructional practices in the classroom. The primary instructional goal is for teachers to differentiate instruction and use data to adjust in real time, ultimately aiming for a 10% increase in student reading proficiency as measured by iReady by June 2026. A specific school-wide effort involves implementing a shared vocabulary and morphology protocol so that all grade level teams focus on academic words across the curriculum.
Okay, at Athena High, we're really happy. We were able to do a full staff presentation. So Athena is the site of our SIFE program, or it's a special program for English language learners who have interrupted formal education. So we had a full staff presentation and some choice breakout sessions where we focused on best practices for SIFE and creating a welcoming and affirming environment for English language learners. We also did a review of communication tools to be able to support those homeschool connections.
All K-8 elementary and ELA teachers have participated in grade level release days for ARC professional learning. Topics of those days included working on literacy goals with sentence expansion, vocabulary routines, and unpacking upcoming ARC units across the district in grade level teams.
From PPS, Stacy and Melanie, they've been collaborating with ELA and ENL team leaders around professional learning for special education teachers with ARC Core. The PPS department leaders recently participated in a training with an ARC coach to build capacity around supporting teachers with their implementation and scaffolding ARC Core for students with disabilities. Something that's neat that's really happened is the PPS directors, TOSAs, along with ELA and ENL have been having monthly meetings to be able to support curriculum implementation throughout.
In my personal favorite department, last but certainly not least, the Department of Multilingual Education, specifically ENL, did an ARC training for K-8 ENL teachers focusing on scaffolding ARC units to meet the academic and linguistic demands of the ELA standards. So we had one day in October and we have another one coming up in January, and we're looking forward to that collaboration across the district with our team.
So that's it. Hopefully it was just a little glimpse of all the collaboration we're doing, and we just want to thank you to the board and to Cabinet for supporting all of these initiatives. So thank you.
I have no report from Gus, no report from AgSept. Karen?
None good things.
All right, no report from Teamsters. Welcome, Karen. 1.07, Residents Forum. I have no one sign up for Residents Forum, so we're going to roll into the pre-budget hearing. I'm going to call a pre-budget hearing to order. Superintendent Smalley.
All right, at this time, I'd like to call up Romeo Kalili and Janine Cushman.
Good evening, everyone. So for tonight's preparation for the 26-27 upcoming budget process, we'd like to share some information with everyone that we know as of now and will be applicable as we move forward over the next several months during the budget development process. So one of our core anchors for the budget development process is our strategic plan goal, our REACH 2027 strategic plan commitments to igniting learning, cultivating trust, and expanding opportunities for all students in the Greece Central School District. We will use this whenever decisions need to be made. This will be our anchor and our discussion point around how we can do it and what we should be doing. Sharing some information regarding what we currently know based on just different readings that the department does, just on some good news side. As of about October, the state is in a little bit better shape than they had projected about a year ago. So mid-year tax receipts are up a little bit, about $700 million. Mid-year spending is down. Primarily, they're not doing as many capital projects as they had planned to do, so their spending is down. Receipts are up a little bit, and their general fund balance is about $4 billion higher than they had originally projected, and about $5.2 billion higher than it was last year. So on a current year basis for the New York State budget at mid-year, they're in fairly good shape, okay? Now, some not-so-good news. However, they are also projecting about a $34 billion deficit over the next 3 years. So as you can see on the bottom of the screen, the executive budget had a projection back in January of 2025. They had projected 3-year deficits that you see there on the screen, total of about $27 billion. That has now been updated based on the enacted budget that was passed in March, April, to the tune of about $34.2 billion is what they're working on at this point. Hopefully, with some of the increased revenues and the decreased spending at mid-year, some of that will be able to be shored up, at least for the current year, and then they can continue working on a rolling 3-year basis and see what they can do.
So looking at what we know at this point, the state is in the process of developing their budget. Their budget call went out to all departments, dictating to those departments that they are to present a flat budget, also to identify efficiencies within their operations. And a new twist this year was that the governor directed departments to identify potential reforms to regulations that would have favorable impact to costs on cost to the public. A significant unknown for us is that current projections at the state level do not factor in any of the impacts of revenue shortages coming as a result of the federal loss of funding. The priority coming from the state is going to be to align the out-year spending to growth with available resources. In January, the governor will present her budget, January 20th, with a plan to include a balanced budget. And then at that point, we will see where we stand. In the past, the governor has incorporated a number of modest changes to the way in which she has presented the budget. Last year, there was a change in the way CPI was calculated. There were changes in other years that reflected eliminating hold harmless. So it's really difficult to project what that will look like. Again, for our purposes, state aid revenues represent about 53% of our total budget. Again, looking at what we know and recapping from where we were last year, the foundation aid formula is running. There were some modest changes incorporated into the formula, primarily updating some of the metrics that underlie the formula with more current and appropriate measures. So the census poverty factor was replaced with a 3-year local average income, the small area income and poverty estimates that are more applicable to each individual area. FERPA was replaced with the economically disadvantaged count. Some of the other factors were also modified. In the enacted budget, there was a 2% minimum increase, but that is not legislatively incorporated. So we don't know what that, if there will be a minimum or if there will be a hold harmless. So again, there are a number of changes that number of uncertainties that we're trying to deal with. We do not believe at this point that there should be any changes anticipated to the formula from its basic structure. So what do we currently know for our budget? The foundation aid formula will run. We do anticipate the 2% minimum, but that's not guaranteed. As I said, that's not legislatively not incorporated into the legislation. We do expect our expense-based aids to be pretty predictable. Those include our BOCES aid, transportation aid, building aid that is based on the debt and capital projects that our voters have approved over the years, and then instructional material aid for textbooks, library materials, software, and computer hardware. Again, no changes anticipated to the rates that apply to those. For sales tax, we have always budgeted conservatively, and we'll continue to maintain that approach to developing the budget for 26-27. And we do not anticipate any changes to pilots at this point in time. Pilots are payments in lieu of taxes, properties that are not on the tax roll, and then pay their taxes directly. Looking also at the property tax levy, the allowable growth factor is based on CPI, or a maximum of 2%. CPI has ranged from 2.6% to 3.1% over the last 12 months, so we do expect that the cap will be at that 2%. Our tax-based growth factor is another critical item within that calculation. That's the amount of growth of real tangible assets in the district, brick and mortar assessments, if you will. Over the past 5 years, our tax-based growth factor has averaged about 0.3%, so it's very, very modest. We do predict that grant funding will be stable, but that is not a certainty at this point, and we're preparing for that as we develop the budget, and then we don't expect many other changes to other revenues.
Those are the revenue side of the budget. On the expense side, there's some things we do know here we'd like to review with everyone. Payroll and salaries, our initial estimate will be inclusive of all our current positions, adjusted for as we go through the process. We've got about $45 million in ER, employee retirement system salaries, and about $115 million worth of certified salaries in the district, and those will be increased by the corresponding contracts that each member currently sits with. Healthcare increases as of January 6th. So we have two plans where the district is in a consortium called the RASH 1 and RASH 2. RASH 1 is our retiree plan. RASH 2 is our active employees currently with the district. The active employees, RASH 2, the rate increase effective January 1st will be 9.9 to 10%, voted on by the Board of Directors of the RASH. However, the RASH 1 for retirees increase will be significantly more. As you can see here, it's going to be somewhere between 35 and 45%. On average, it's about 40%. The primary driver behind that has been the Inflationary Reduction Act. So with some legal changes that took place at the federal level, the retiree benefits are a little bit better, but the cost shift of subsidies that were at the federal level have now shifted to the providers, who have shifted it to the premiums that everyone is paying. So there are also prescription increases that are very significant. More people are utilizing healthcare than they did back 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. But the primary driver was this Inflationary Reduction Act, which shifted subsidies away from the federal government to the providers, and they're just passing that along. I will make one other point, and retirees would have received the letter on this. We moved everybody to our Aetna plans, so those premiums will increase by these amounts. But as we've looked at those across the Monroe County, even at a 40% increase, the Aetna premiums for corresponding plans compared to Excelis are still 50% less than what Excelis is currently charging. So although you're going to see a 40% increase in that premium, it's still less than half of the premium charge for the same plan through Excelis, and that just needs to be something we need to make everybody aware of. Employee retirement system contribution, current rate is about 16.5% for this year's salaries. We're estimating it's going to be about 17.6% for next year's salaries. So we take that 100 or those salaries and multiply it by those percentages. TRS, teacher retirement system, we're currently paying 9.59% on this year's salaries. At the time this was written, we didn't know, but we've just been informed that the rate for TRS will be between 8.25% and 8.75%, so a little bit lower than what it was for the current year. This is just a graphic of the employee retirement system and the TRS system showing you where the rates have gone. TRS has come down more significantly than ERS, which is a good thing. But again, these are both on lags, so we're not really sure where this will go in the future. Contract negotiations, we settled our AgSep contract in 2024, so that contract is in place for a 3 or 4 year period. In 2025, we're looking at Teamsters FOP in central office and Teamsters food service as well as Gus. And then the contract coming up in June, expiring in June of 26, are GTA, GASA, and Teamsters Transportation, and those contracts will be negotiated this year and hopefully settled before, way before June 30th of 2026 comes around. So we can incorporate that into the upcoming budget. Minimum wage is currently at $15.50 an hour. We're anticipating that's going to increase to $16 come January 1. For utility costs, as we know, we're going to project about 5% increase on our utility costs. For charter schools, again, there still are a significant cost. We had about 320 full-time equivalents for 320 students in 25-26. We're expecting that to increase in 26-27. We've got students who are enrolled in a variety, about 15 different charter schools, with 4 of those charter schools being here within district boundaries. So that continues to be an item we keep our eye on and we need to plan for. Transportation, private contracts, although we have our own fleet of buses, we still are anticipating a bus driver shortage. Therefore, we will continue with our transportation contract with Ontario Bus and other providers, and we're making every effort we can in order to decrease the number of routes that we're contracting as we take on more drivers, but that has been a challenge.
So again, as Romeo indicated at the beginning of the presentation, we draw from the strategic plan for all our decisions and initiatives. So our first initiative, our strategic initiative, is investments in students. We're looking to focus on providing students with opportunities that meet their needs in the areas of college and career opportunities and partnerships. We're looking to provide opportunities for enrichment and support in academics, focusing on early intervention, and then behavioral and mental health supports. We're also looking at Portrait of a Graduate and the way in which that will impact budgets going forward. When we look at strategic initiatives with respect to investments in staff, we're looking at building professional capacity, looking to support evidence-based instruction, recruitment and the retention of high-quality staff, and then building of career ladders. And then strategic innovation as another investment area. We're looking at the areas of 4DX, 4 disciplines of execution, teacher leadership, recognizing that leadership is not tied to a title, but more tied to the work that individuals do and their capacity to be leaders in their roles, focusing on shared decision-making and innovative leadership initiatives, and building capacity for instructional and operational areas for leaders. So again, to recap, we're looking for a 2% increase in foundation aid, but we're prepared for less. We plan for CPI to increase, for the tax cap to be only 2%. We will stay within the maximum allowable levy. We will, when appropriate, use strategic use of reserves. We're going to maintain our focus on appropriate reserve fund levels and maximize all expense-based aids, including BOCES. Our objective is to maintain a reasonable budget-to-budget increase, given all of the parameters that we must incorporate. Continue to match staffing with current enrollments. We budget for contract or percentage increase factors for all salaries based on what we know and what we believe the contracts will settle at when they're not currently settled. Budget for increased payroll taxes, ERS and TRS, based on allocations and FICA. We will aggressively review line items for contingency adjustments, as in the past, and we continue to review all operations for efficiency and redirect resources where possible. Our timeline, as you see here, in October, at the October 7th meeting, the board adopted the budget calendar. We're presenting to you tonight parameters and goals as part of our pre-budget hearing. In January, we will, and at that budget meeting, do a preliminary budget development process update. Similarly, a process update and sharing of the governor's budget for February 3rd. On February 24th, again, update. And then at that meeting, including our debt service presentation, our tax cap update with our allowable growth factor, and a bus replacement proposal. Continue for March 10th with updates and a bus replacement resolution. Again, another update March 24th, and then on April 3rd, we'll start providing legal notices as we're required. April 7th will be presentation of the superintendent's proposed budget and seeking public input. At the April 21st meeting, we will ask for board adoption of the budget and adoption of the property tax report card. And then on the 23rd of April, absentee ballots will be mailed. The 24th, budget will be available to the public. On May 5th, there will be a public budget hearing as we're required by law. May 6th, after the public hearing, budget notices are mailed. The final legal notice on the 16th of May, and finalizing with the budget vote on May 19th, at which all residents in the district are eligible to vote. Question?
Anybody have any questions? Mrs. Farmer?
Thank you. So on page 17, the last bullet, continue to review all operations for efficiencies and then redirect resources where possible. Does that play into possibly the loss of grant money, and we would shift things around to fulfill those missing? Or if you could tell me a little bit more about, and I'm curious to know how much of our budget is dependent on grant money.
So, I'll start. Your first comment is not specifically tied to that bullet.
Thank you.
Right, so when we're talking about the budget, this budget, it's the general fund budget, not the special aid budget. All the grants are in a special aid budget.
Okay.
Right, so that's a different piece. If there are changes in a grant, to your point, if there's a loss of a grant, then there's discussion. It doesn't automatically impact the general fund, this budget. If there's a loss of a grant, there's discussion around what was that grant funding, what was the purpose of it, and if it's something that we need to continue, then the decision is made to put it into the find another grant or put it into the general fund.
Okay.
And now it becomes a base portion of the general fund budget. Or if it's something that we can do without, then we don't do anything. The grant just goes away and we don't pick up those expenditures. But the operational efficiencies looked at in here are more referring to operations. How can we do things better for less money? Is there other ways to do it? And find those efficiencies within the budget.
Okay.
The general fund budget, not the grant funding.
Okay, but it sounds like we would kind of do the same thing. We would look at those grants and determine whether it was something we wanted to continue and then find other ways to fund that.
All the grants are looked at during the budget process to see if there is anything that is in jeopardy that may need to come over. So Janine and her team do that. And if there is something that is subject to an adjustment, it goes to cabinet.
Okay.
Be able to bring it there and say, what do we want to do with this? And then it's either an add to the general fund budget or not. The one
Okay.
that may be more impacting for us would be, federal.
Sure.
Of the federal funded grants that we have, like, any adjustments to child nutrition or Title I or IDEA, any of those type of hits will be something that we would need to really.
All right, that makes sense.
Probably consider adding to the general fund budget.
All right, thank you.
Janine, anything?
So to that point, that last bullet really is part of our ongoing process where we don't necessarily keep a line item budget at its prior level if the need is no longer there.
Right.
So we will look at needs on a line-by-line basis, department-by-department basis, particularly in areas that are cyclical. So we will reevaluate whether that budget line should be maintained, increased, or decreased, and when decreasing, we're looking to, is there an area where we need to reallocate? When we're looking for increases, can we fund that from another department budget that no longer needs those funds? We do that on an ongoing basis, and it's part of our regular review.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Bonagario?
First, I want to say, Romeo, Janine, and Megan, and your whole team, what a fantastic job of presenting the financial situation you've done for us, and that includes the work in the study sessions and what we have here. Really appreciate it. I've said it before, I don't see this kind of, this level of reporting anywhere else. So it's really excellent. Based on some of the information we got earlier, I'm wondering, apart from the current state of operations, what we want to deliver, and given all of the uncertainties that are out there regarding state funding, which is more than half of our revenue source, can you give us a breakdown? I don't mean now, but can you provide us a breakdown of where we truly have no discretion at parts of the budget where there is contractual obligations, debt servicing, things like that, where we can't cut it even if we had to. Just to have a sense of
Magnitude.
yeah.
So as we shared in the study session, the vast majority of our budget is non-discretionary at a point in time. Certainly, as we look at needs going forward, we always have the opportunity to look at doing things in different ways and delivering best services for our kids in with another mechanism. But 95% of our budget is non-discretionary when you look at salaries and current contracts, current enrollment in health, our debt service, our critical contract services, including security and BOCES and health and welfare that we're obligated to other districts for. 95% of our $318 million budget is there. And in the study session that we shared, there was 5.5% or 5%. I would even venture to say that there's some of that really is almost non-discretionary as well. So what we truly have control over without looking at changing how we do things is very limited at a point in time. Certainly, when there's a need, we have the ability to go in and look at doing anything differently.
And that's where my question really is. Yeah, we could get that to the board. Yeah. As a whole, we'll put some type of a list together. Okay, thank you. That outlines that in a little detail and get it over to everybody. We'll get it out to Sean, and then Sean can send it out.
That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work with that. Any other questions? Thank you both.
Thank you.
And I have no one signed up for the public budget hearing, so I'm going to declare the public budget hearing closed. Moving on, item 3.01, staffing. Can I suddenly move that to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Stuncil, second by Board Member Seaman. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 8-0. Moving on to tenure. Can I suddenly move the tenure to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, seconded by Ms. Farmer. Any comments, questions, concerns on tenure? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 8-0. Moving on to the GTA MOA's additional FTEs. Can I suddenly move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Malloy, seconded by Ms. Seaman. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 8-0. Moving on to the 5.01 course offering guide, Superintendent Smallene.
All right, I'd like to call up Dr. Zappitz. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Before I get into the actual presentation itself, we have a lot of people from the Course Offering Guide Committee here tonight. I want to recognize them. This document, if you've read through it, is extremely detailed. We try to get as much information as possible into it for our school and learning community and families, so that they have a good idea of what's offered in our high schools. And it's been a ton of work for everybody here, so I appreciate you all being here, and thanks for your work on the project. So we're going to start this year's presentation kind of where we left off last year's presentation. And the feedback that we got from the board after last year was a hope to make make the guide more of a tool than just an informational guidebook. And that's what we set out to do. So if you start on page 11, you'll see our best efforts to do that. And if you hear any groans coming from the audience for when I mentioned page 11, we spent a lot of time on page 11 and 12 trying to come up with a useful tool for families to look at that will give them an idea of a pathway to graduation for both a Regents diploma and a Regents diploma with advanced designation. So hopefully that's an easy-to-read tool, and it will make the guide more practical for families as we get it out to the community here shortly. Another piece of feedback that we got from the board and community was a desire to focus on post-secondary preparation, which is something that's really extremely timely because we're in the midst of a graduation measures initiative coming from New York State, which I'm going to be back up here next month telling you a little bit more about in detail. But a big focus of that, one of kind of the pillars that those grad measures are based on, is the New York State Portrait of a Graduate, which is similar in some respects, not all, but similar to our Profile of a Graduate, which is contained in our REACH strategic plan. And what this, how this is reflected in our course offerings guide is that we really have a lot of offerings throughout our 9-12 continuum that align very well with both the New York State Portrait of a Graduate and our local Greece Profile of a Graduate that's in our strategic plan. So for example, here are the core traits for our for our Profile of a Graduate and the New York State Portrait of a Graduate. So you can see if you look across the different skills, they are pretty similar, but again, there's some nuanced differences between the two of those. So what I'm going to take you through is just show you how a broad overview of how our course offerings are designed to build these core traits and attributes in our students. So academic rigor and intellectual curiosity, we have things in our course offerings guide like AP courses, dual enrollment classes with different universities in the area, Smart Transfer Early College program at Olympia, independent study, and then we have offerings, career offerings through WMOCO, which align with some of those graduate traits included in both of the profile and the portrait. As far as CTE goes, this is a big focus of ours. Obviously, we celebrated one of our most successful pathways tonight with our responding to emergencies, but that's not where it ends. We have a lot of different CTE offerings, largely due to the work of Corey Skinner and his team and partnerships in the community that you can see here align a lot with some of the traits of the Portrait of a Graduate and the Profile of a Graduate. All told, we have 89 courses in a district right now that are eligible for college credit. 78 of those are local here in the district, and there's also 11 offerings at WMOCO. And you can see the colleges that we have partnerships with listed there on the left. As far as social and emotional competence, this is feedback that we hear all the time from families when we talk to them during the course of day-to-day business or at events, how are we preparing students with some of those life skills that are going to be necessary once they graduate and leave us and go on to college or career or whatever awaits them after high school. So we have things like The Leader in Me that we have with our elementary schools and growing into our secondary schools. We have robust counseling services, transition program for our students with disabilities that focuses on preparing them for life after Greece. And then we have a course called Strategies for Success, which focuses on a lot of those life skills, including some personal finance, management, and capacity that we expect all of our seniors to take, or all of our students, I should say, to take before they graduate. As far as creativity and critical thinking goes, again, we have a ton of offerings that are aligned to those, whether they're in the arts or other electives, some of which you can see there. And one thing that we really are proud of this year that we should highlight is our computer-aided design, solid modeling classes that are really, it's an interdepartmental endeavor, I guess you could say, where students in these CAD classes, they design products based on feedback or requests from the school community, and then the business classes market them and can actually sell them and raise money for the schools. I think some of the treats that you got for Board of Education Week actually came from this partnership, from this program. Some of the blankets are, I forget exactly what the tchotchke was that you got, but something came from this program, and they've supplied other things to different groups in the district this year and last year as well. Civic readiness and leadership, we have a lot of different opportunities for that as well, all aligned with, like I said, those portrait of a graduate and profile of a graduate skills that we want to see when students leave us. A lot of community partnerships that we have through our different pathways, opportunities. We have leadership courses that we offer. They're hosted at 3 of our high schools, Athena, Phoenix, and Arcadia, but they're open to all of the different high schools in the district for students to enroll in, and they're offered as travel courses. And the idea is that we'll hopefully grow those to all of our schools eventually. We also have our senior project, which a lot of you participated in one way or another on the panel. Senior project is an ongoing work for us, but the purpose of it is to celebrate students' journeys and prepare them for life after high school. So 25% of English 12 fourth quarter grade is based on a portfolio and a presentation that answers these questions here, essential questions. Who are you? What have you learned during your time in Greece? What's the next chapter in your life? Those are some examples of those. And what we're hoping to do is to continue to work to ensure that the presentations are an opportunity for students to get productive panelist feedback that contributes to the grade of the project. And then they'll have multiple opportunities to practice those presentations in class. And for those of you who have sat on the panel, being in front of students that are able to tell those stories is it's a really great experience to hear about their time in Greece and then their personal story and how we have prepared them for whatever lies ahead for them. So it's a work in progress, and we're working to continue to calibrate across the different schools to ensure that the students have a rigorous experience that's the same essentially across all of the 4 schools. And thanks to several board members who've given us feedback to help us continue to work on doing that across the system. So I know that Jamie and her team are continuing to calibrate around balancing teacher input in the grade and then having that authentic experience in front of a panel, doing things like developing training, calibrating along the rubric, and making sure that the facilitators in each of the rooms where the presentations are being held really are grounded in the same expectations so that, like I said, students have the same experience and are held to the same standards across all 4 of our high schools. And then, of course, we have, your standard updates from New York State and from WMOCO that got incorporated into the document with some of the language revisions for this year. So for 26, 27, there were New Visions program revisions. They reduced some of their offerings for us, so we adjusted the course catalog accordingly. You'll see that on page 5. In the arts, we adjusted the grade levels and prerequisites for our design and illustration course, and then we revised the course description for studio art to better align with the current curriculum there. For science, there's a bunch of updates that came from New York State, including course titles and some course codes that we altered in there to make sure that we had the right titles aligning with the courses from New York State. And then we also adjusted several course numbers across the system because we're building a singular Greece Central course master, which will feed into our student management system, Infinite Campus. That will really make things more efficient from the scheduling lens, including how to navigate students that are traveling from different campuses to enroll in courses that aren't necessarily offered at their home school. Having a singular course master as opposed to 4 different course masters behind the scenes in each of our high schools will really help with those efficiencies. So we adjusted some course numbers accordingly there. And as far as next steps go, this is really the first step in kicking off the course selection process. So coming up next week, each school is going to have career fairs or assemblies to promote the different course offerings that are both elective and then the next steps for the core content areas in their classes. We have a CTE night next Thursday evening at the GPAC, which Corey is going to host, which gives families an opportunity to come in and experience all the different pathway opportunities, career-based opportunities, work-based learning opportunities that we have in the district for them. And then we have what's called Passport Day for students, where students go from the regular class schedule, but teachers intentionally carve out a little bit of time to tell students options for the next step in whatever their content area is. So if you're currently taking whatever particular course, the teacher will take a couple minutes to explain what are the different courses that are options for next steps. You fill that out on your passport, and then it kicks off individual meetings with students and counselors from the end of next week all the way up until the Friday after the Martin Luther King holiday, and that's when we kick off staffing based on those numbers. So we really try to put an effort into ensuring students have gotten those course selections in and that we have accurate information to start the staffing process. And that is all we got.
Thanks, Mike.
Questions later, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, moving on. 6.01, change orders. Can I have move the change orders to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Stansel, second by Ms. Lake. Any comments, questions, or concerns on the change orders? Seeing none, I just want to comment that the change orders amount to $74,558. With that, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. 6.02, the extra classroom activities fund report. Can I have somebody quarterly report? Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, second by Ms. Seaman. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Oh, Mr. Maloney.
I can't find paper right now, but I saw a discrepancy in the balance in their checkings accounts. And some more 4,000, some 3,000.
There are probably checks that haven't cleared yet. That would be the discrepancy.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
That's it,
Yes, that's it.
Yep.
So the
So
outstanding,
that balance is 10,000.
these are all checks that haven't cleared the bank.
Okay. And that's
Any
all
other
I need to know.
questions?
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all's in favor? Mr. Farmer? No, we're voting. Pay attention, quit talking, pay attention. Passes 8-0. Anticipated bids, does anybody have any questions on those, or written information only? All right, budget status and revenue status report, anybody have any questions on that? It's written information only. All right, the consent agenda, can I have somebody move the consent agenda to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, second by Vice President Stensel. Any comments, questions, or concerns on that? I would just like to thank donations, Joe Prestigiacomo for his new teacher induction sponsorship of $877.50, the Pinterest Impact Fund for digital innovation and well-being of the amount of $1,637.82, and again, the Ridge Road Fire District for their donation of a fire truck this evening. With that, all those in favor? That passes 8-0. Moving on to 9.01, course offering guide approval. Can I suddenly move that to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Stencil, second by Mr. Maloney. Any comments, questions, or concerns on this? Mr. Maloney?
I have a question for Mr. Zavitz.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Zavitz, excuse me. No problem. How many students does this all encounter on a great year?
These are all the course offerings for all of our high schools.
No, but how many students actually will take advantage of this, that you've offered all these courses?
All of them to some degree. Yeah, I mean, every course that we have is in here, so everybody will. And then for those who want to take advantage of some of our pathways and stuff, it's all depends on which program. So it's hard to say total.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Bongiorno?
Dr. Zavitz, you mentioned, I think it was on page 13, you're talking about social emotional learning and life skills. A lot of us think of social emotional learning in terms of managing behavior and responses to challenging situations and things like that. Is that what you mean by life skills, or is there a bigger component to that? I'm asking that because I had a conversation with someone from the CTE side earlier, and it sounded like that was not to feed into your answer, but is there more to it than that kind of emotional side of social emotional learning?
Yeah, I mean, more to it than just.
Like, so let me just.
Yeah, please.
Going out into the business world and how we conduct ourselves, is that part of what is, it sounded like that's part of what you were including in social emotional learning. Is that an accurate representation of what we're trying to accomplish with all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Corey's done a lot of work. We actually have been preparing for this rollout of the New York State Portrait of a Graduate for quite a while, and a lot of the work that we started out doing was to look at the New York State employability profile that is really integrated into our Strategies for Success course that has a lot of the different skills that employers look for that we consider social and emotional skills. So things like critical thinking, but also things like responsible decision-making and social awareness and things that will lead to success in the workplace based on feedback that we've gotten from actual employers in the community.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's good to know, because it's always been a little, it hasn't been as concrete as that in my mind, and that's helpful to
Yeah,
know.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think that there's, without that concreteness, there's ambiguity that leads to confusion, right? And I think over time, you'll see, especially with the Grad Measures Initiative, that it's going to hopefully become much more concrete. But this is, a start for us.
Thanks.
Superintendent Smalley?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because I do think that, what you just stated is something that we need to clear up with the public. Because when you think of social emotional competencies, which is what our goal is teaching, that's what we look to teach when we say social emotional learning. And I think for some reason that has gotten there's a misunderstanding in the public. But when you think of our competencies, that's exactly what Dr. Zaffit's talking about. It's self-awareness, social awareness, decision-making, all of those core competencies that we know I'll use Bob Johnson as the example, those are exactly the skills that he is trying to teach our interns when they come in. So somewhere along the line, the term SEL has been attached to something that it's not. Social emotional learning is the competencies, so you could call them life skills. In fact, that's what I called them when I was in the classroom teaching. In that language, they were called life skills or character education. But they're all the competencies that we're hearing from public, employers, parents that are saying, when is this being taught? So, for whatever reason, the term SEL has taken on, I think, some misunderstandings. But that, to your point, that is exactly our goal, is to teach those competencies, which are life skills. So sometimes maybe we have to rebrand the wording with that, because the competencies are life skills that we're trying to teach. I just think somewhere along the line, it's been misunderstood and it's been seen as just for behavior, when really it's life skills.
And if I can just respond to that.
Yeah.
There are organizations, and Castle is one, that has expanded that into a different arena. So it's broader than, we're just talking about here.
Yeah.
And maybe rebranding would be helpful.
I think so. I agree with you on that. Yeah. But thank you.
Vice President Stuntzel?
Dr. Zaffitz, and to your team, this is amazing. Thank you for all the work, and I know it's probably taken you countless hours to do it. And I also wanted to acknowledge, too, we were having that discussion a year ago, and suggestions were thrown at you, and I see that you incorporated that in there. I was thinking of one more that I'd like to throw out there for probably the next round. Looking at, it's like in the, I don't know, maroon color here. It says may be eligible for college credit. I would love to see built into here for each of these classes what that college credit is. So, for instance, this page I'm on, 33, there's health education. I teach health at 3 different colleges. So, and all of those different classes all have a different name, a different course number and whatnot. It would be interesting to see if you could marry those two. So if I'm a student in 11th grade and I want to take health education, what does that equal at, say, MCC? Because if I'm a parent and I want to have an informed decision about, how I'm going to build my classes or what I'm going to select, I want to make sure that the things I'm picking are going to transfer to all the other schools I want to end up going down the road. And what you end up finding is that a lot of the classes you take, yes, they're worth college credit, but they don't directly transfer the way you want them to, so then you just end up with an elective credit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So with that said, that's all I got. Thank you for everything.
Ms. Lake?
Again, it is very impressive, and I think any parent would be very proud to have their kids in a district that had so many opportunities. I would just like to, I think, just a word of caution. Sorry. As we go to 21st century skills and we go to different kinds of skills, I think, and we move away from facts, is kind of a bad thing. We have to remember, I think, that there's bodies of knowledge with each of the disciplines, scientific, mathematical, history, and that these critical thinking skills are incorporated when you have a knowledge base. And that knowledge base is part of your long-term memory. You've been learning these facts for years, facts about our country's government, for example. And finally, you get like a schema in your head. And so then when you hear something, you go, that doesn't really fit, or yeah, that's exactly what makes sense to me. So just that we don't lose that. And then somebody was just saying that when they're it was the founder of Wikipedia. He said when he goes back to his 11th grade class and he thinks, how would my time have been best spent? And he mentioned a bunch of things that had to do with computers or U.S. history. He said, the U.S. history is what hasn't changed. Everything else has changed. And based on the job I have, I will get training in that job. And if I have that knowledge and that ability to learn and to take in other things, then I'm much better positioned. So it's not at all critical of these courses. It's just, I think, something important that we don't lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to comment on the last piece there, that's exactly what we hear from the employers that we partner with too, is that if students come in with a foundational set of skills, they can learn that content of whatever trade that is. And just to your early point, there's no intention at all of compromising the content. It's just rather complementing it and using it to augment and teach those kind of more life or softer skills.
I'm not as confident as the state as I am in you. So I think sometimes their intentions are, just to make things easier for kids, and that's not always the best thing for them. Thank you.
Mr. Butler?
Thank you, and good work to the team putting this guide together. This is something that I think, I'm trying to remember when my kids were in high school and this guide would come home. It was always fun for me to look through it and look at all the different courses that were available. But after probably freshman or sophomore year, they were kind of on a path going, and so the actual number of options that was available to them was much, much smaller, and it took more work for me to figure out in this book, like what was actually an option for them. So I wonder if it might be worth it for us to explore, potentially with the use of AI, a way for parents to say, what's actually available to my student? And what, within this guide, what is actually an option? Because there's a lot of stuff that isn't. And so I think all the stuff that isn't has to be in there because it is for somebody. But I think that we could probably use a tool like that to help parents navigate it and more quickly and not miss some of the things that maybe they're missing now.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Anybody else? Mr. Bonagoro?
Kind of in keeping with the theme of the portrait or profile of a graduate, on page 10, you've provided some programs and targets maybe, or things that our students, and throughout the presentation, students who are moving towards a Regents diploma, things like that. I'm wondering if you could provide kind of a profile of our district with regard to how our students, maybe our recent graduates, how they fill some of those boxes. What does our district look like? What percentage of our students finish with a Regents diploma? What percentage take advantage of AP courses and dual enrollment, things like that? So we have kind of a picture of what is actually emerging. These are what we're providing as opportunities, but what are our students actually taking advantage of?
Sure. Yeah, I would just offer, if there's specific things like that the board would want to know, if you put them together in a request, we can turn something around and produce whatever that is, for our graduates. We have all that data. We can just need to make sure we're giving you what you need.
That would be great. Thank you. I'll follow up with that.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
With that, all those in favor to a student's course offering guide approval? That passes 8-0. 9.02, Student Trip Olympia. Can I sign move that to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Stenzel, second by Ms. Farmer. Any comments, questions, concerns on a student trip? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passes 8-0. Getting in the Board of Education committee reports. Bilingual Program Advisory Council, there's going to be no report for. The Board of Education Code of Conduct Committee, Mr. Bonagoro.
You may mean the district code.
Oh, the district, I'm sorry.
And I'm ready to do that. So on that point, there is a distinction between the Board Code of Conduct Committee and the District Code of Conduct Committee, but there's also a large, an important level of overlap. And that's really important because it helps to keep those two committees apprised of each other's work and not working in silos, but actually ultimately, I hope, working together. The District Code of Conduct Committee met on October 21st, I believe it was, and covered a number of things. Initially, some of the same ground that we covered at our prior board committee meeting, that being some of the legal requirements in the code of conduct, and Dr. Baker and Ms. Toronto reviewed with us the 15 items that are required in the committee, in the code of conduct, including, I'll just mention a few of them: students' rights and responsibilities, roles of district personnel, acceptable and unacceptable conduct, asset compliance, and about 10 or 11 more. In addition, and as I mentioned, she's not even here, Board Member Falzarano had shared some of that information with the board committee, and the main reason I say that is because I've been mispronouncing her name at the last couple of meetings. I wanted to say it correctly for the record, so there you have that. In addition, I provided the district committee with an update on the work of the board committee and some of the things that we have been looking at. Ms. Toronto provided a recap of the 2024-25 Code of Conduct and guided group discussions regarding current trends, giving the committee some opportunity to unpack their own insights and noticings from that data. The meeting concluded with an activity to gather input and actionable items, things to start doing, things to stop doing, and things to continue doing. This allowed for a further sharing of a broad range of ideas to more effectively support a safe, positive learning environment. Some of the common themes that were noted were for the need for improved clarity, consistency, and balance between restorative practices and traditional consequences. It was a good conversation, a lot of good input from everyone there. And I'll just add a final note: board code of conduct meeting dates have been set for the next 2 months. This month, on November 12th and 18th, and in December the 2nd and 17th, and we'll continue to correspond with our work with the district committee.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Bongorio. District Curriculum Council, Board Member Like.
Yes, we met Thursday, and it was a dark, windy, rainy day. And Audra took us through some of the math briefs that are based on the standards. Are there 13? Yeah. Right, we did one and spent a lot of time on that. And that dealt with using high leverage strategies to teach and to kind of correct an idea that the curriculum was a mile wide and an inch deep, to bring it in and then provide depth to it. Having two former roommates who were elementary teachers who didn't like math at all, we talked about the fact that this burden is falling on people who may have become teachers who possibly hated math. So that we also talked about the PLC work and the training and the in-service and the support that teachers will need to have this kind of impact. And then the reason the weather was so important is Brad, who talked about the Ignite and how they're using Ignite in connection with math. He had just flown in, whizzed over from the airport, and then delivered this presentation on Ignite, so we all appreciated him being there. So it's about teachers needing a specialized understanding of math in order to be able to transfer that to students. And then we all engaged in a little activity, a group activity of building a, what was it we built? A roller coaster, yes. Our group by far had the best one, but, and that's because I'm doing the update, so, might as well, right? Okay, but it was an excellent, meeting, so, thank you, Audra.
Thank you, Ms. Lake. District Shared Decision-Making Team, there's going to be no report for Grading Policy Committee. We met, we realized that there's going to be a lot of work for this committee. It's going to be not just a one-year type of thing. There's going to be a lot of work that's going to carry over year to year. But some of the things we talked about were standard-based grading, the 55 rule, common informative assessments, homework, and the 4.0 versus the 100 points grading scale. So we talked about a lot. We're going to chip away at it, see where it goes. We also did a, I don't know, whatever you call them that I hate. Yeah, welcoming ritual, thanks. This is the Superintendent Flagler. Those will be done on that committee soon. But with that, I'll leave it at that. We're meeting again later this month, so hopefully we'll be knocking off a little bit more on something. And graduation measures committee report, there's no report for that. Getting a superintendent comment, Superintendent Smallene.
By the way, I love going first, by the way.
No, we can change that.
No, I love it. I just have a few things. I just wanted to start by also recognizing the Ridge Road Fire District for their generous donation of the fire engine to our Responding to Emergencies program. As our board president mentioned earlier, this truck represents their dedication to our students' success, and it's also a symbol of their partnership with the Greece Central School District. So we are deeply grateful for their service, for their partnership, and for the unwavering support of our students. On Monday, I had the privilege of attending the Urban League of Rochester's 6th annual Interrupt Racism Impact Summit. Several of our students from all 4 of our high schools participated, along with staff and Board of Education member Tracy Farmer. Our students engaged in powerful panel discussions and workshops focused on equity and community leadership. And I would also like to extend a heartfelt congratulations to Dr. Corey Hepburn, principal of Odyssey Academy, who was honored as one of Urban League's 2025 Legacy Award recipients. This recognition celebrates leaders who embody the Urban League's mission of advancing equity, justice, and empowerment. And it was also inspiring to see Odyssey scholars that were there at the event to celebrate Dr. Hepburn's well-deserved recognition. So congratulations to Dr. Hepburn. And finally, as we approach Veterans Day next Tuesday, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize and thank all who have served our country. The freedoms we enjoy each day are possible because of the dedication and sacrifice of our service members and their families. We're especially proud to have members of our own Greece community who have answered the call to serve, including Board Member Bill Maloney and Board President Sean McCabe's son, Connor, who is currently serving on active duty. To them and to all veterans, we extend our deepest gratitude. We are truly grateful for your courage, your commitment, and the example you set for our students in our community. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you to Superintendent Smallene. Student Board Representative Bailey.
Mr. McCabe, I remembered my joke.
Oh, very good. Very good. You've been spending the whole meeting thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about it. What do you call a runaway turkey?
No idea.
Fast food. We're going into the Thanksgiving jokes. We're transitioning a little. We did some Halloween jokes.
Now, at
but
the start, you're going to have a
gotcha.
joke.
I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to the 2 presenters from Athena, Larissa and Marley. They are such influential students in our community and 2 people I'm really lucky to call some of my best friends. So it was great to see them. Last week was Red Ribbon Week, so that's a drug prevention campaign that is observed every October. All 4 high schools participated in this by doing Spirit Weeks and talking about it on their morning announcements. Some of the Spirit Week days included wearing red, and one that I thought was very interesting was say boo to drugs, and everybody wore their Halloween costumes. Elementary and middle schools also celebrated with a Spirit Week, and Brookside held their annual wellness fair that did activities to encourage students to do healthy habits. Also, all throughout our community, there's local food drives happening. I know last Saturday at Arcadia Middle School and the Center for Youth Services, there was a drop-off donation. And I know that all of the high schools right now have clubs that are doing food drives. So students and families, make sure that you are bringing in non-perishable food items for that. Kind of piggybacking off of what Mr. Smallene said about the Urban League 6th Annual Interrupt Racism Summit that happened this past Monday. I got to talk to Silas Alvarez about his experience, and he talked about that it was a day full of workshops, discussions, and an amazing keynote speaker who talked about the importance of having true hope for our community and for our future. Students said that they learned a lot and appreciated the Urban League for their commitment to breaking system cycles. Also today, I just came from rehearsals for Artists Unlimited's upcoming production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. This is a production that's in our Greece community, and it works with people with intellectual, physical, and developmental disabilities. I am a proud volunteer for this program, and along with a bunch of other Greece Central students. The performances are this weekend and next weekend, and if you can make it out to see it, it is the best production you will ever see. It just makes your heart so happy. Also, just to wrap it up, this Friday ends the first quarter. I know that our teachers do a really good job with reminding us when the first quarter is coming to an end, so that students can get in, get their work finished, complete any missing assignments, make up any test grades. So this week is a really positive week for growth and learning to make sure that everything's looking good. So great first quarter, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Bailey. Board member comments. Mr. Butler.
Thank you. Just a couple things I want to echo. I got to the Interrupt Racism Summit just before Corey Hepburn was recognized as well, so I wanted to add my congratulations to him on that. Also, my thanks to those currently serving and our veterans for their service with upcoming Veterans Day. I want to say a special thanks to the staff and students at Pine Brook. I had a visit at the school a week or two ago, and they put me on the morning show right away, which was a lot of fun, which made me an instant celebrity throughout the building after that. And I'm dying to find out if they figure out who stole the mascot, because that was the mystery that was looking to be solved. So I'm hopeful that maybe a Pine Brook student could reach out to me and let me know what the resolution of that was. But had a great visit there and got to see students all the way from kindergarten all the way up to fifth grade at that school. And the kindergartners were great and got hugs from them right away. And one of the fifth graders was taller than me, so quite a scope of students there. I want to add to what Bailey said about the importance of the food donations in light of the withholding of SNAP benefits from members of our community. I want to encourage people to keep supporting the food pantry, keep supporting FoodLink, because that need continues. And so I'm very proud to be in a district that has stepped up so strongly for that, and in a community that is really showing out so strongly to support our neighbors as well. I want to highlight something that I just learned about today, which is an event that's happening just this Thursday night at Arcadia Middle School called Digital Dangers. It's a session for parents and guardians to help them understand what happens when online chats turn into manipulation or violence against our youth. So that's actually being put on by the FBI, and folks should register for that in advance, but it happens Thursday night, 5:45 to 8 p.m., and it's really important as a parent to stay educated on these things, and so I hope that many parents will make the time for that. And lastly, I'll just say, go Bills.
Go Bills. Any other board member comments? Mr. Maloney.
Just a reminder of Veterans Day, it's November 11th, and also at November 10th at Holmes Road School at 9:30 a.m., and they are honoring veterans, and all veterans are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. Ms. Lake.
Last week, I attended the Monroe County Community Schools organizational meeting with Kelly. And when I signed in, Kelly Speruto was there and said, would you like to sit with the Bob Johnson Chevrolet table? And I said, absolutely. So Kelly and I sat with them, and wasn't that exciting to sit there and hear them talk about how much they love our kids and how much I don't remember the gentleman's name, but this was his brainchild. But, I mean, he got teared up when he talked about it and how great these kids are. And also, we had a young man at the table who had graduated a year ago, who was another of my son's best friend's kids, who call him Uncle Paul. And so it was I hadn't seen him since he was 2 years old. So it was so nice to connect to him. And I guess he was a hellion growing up. I just heard all these stories, and he's just such a nice young man now, and very popular at Bob Johnson. So it's such a great partnership, and so I'm pleased to be involved as I am.
Thank you, Ms. Lake. Ms. Farmer?
A lot going on in this past couple of weeks. There was a group of us who went to the New York State School Boards Association Conference. Mary and I spent a lot of time together. We spent a lot of time breaking things down, clarifying, discussing. So it was great to have a special time to come together and get to know each other a little bit more in terms of what we think and what we do. One of the things that, one of the presentations was given by Tim Shriver. It was called Dignity for All. And he talked about dignity and what that might look like. It sounded similar to Stephen Covey's work, Leader in Me, for the young kids, but up through grades, up through adults. After he presented, there was a smaller group session where we were able to interact with each other and look at what it might be based on something that might have gone wrong, and there were different options that you could choose to how to react. So I think that's a big part of Stephen Covey's work. How do we respond instead of reacting? We went to, I attended the community schools presentation. Kelly Speruto was there giving that, along with Joseph Integrossi, who is the head of all of this. Something that was interesting to me was many years ago, there's a man named Jeffrey Canada who started a program in Harlem. It was called the Harlem Children's Zone. And it sounds like this work kind of branched off from what that work initially was. I want to say maybe 20 years ago. So we have a beautiful, beautiful opportunity here in our district. And I was at the food bank at Arcadia Middle on Saturday. I went to drop off some food and asked if they needed work. Boy, do those people work over there. We were there I was there for about 3 hours. They were there longer. And it was just constant. People just, and it was a great opportunity for us to get to know each other, to work together. It was beautiful. They're very excited about the sidewalk that is about to be put in through the side door, so people can come directly to the food cupboard instead of having to go through the front entrance. We had community volunteers who came to help. We had the husband of Kelly there, Danny, who was great opportunity to spend some time doing some really good work. What was really special, I thought, was that Greece not only collected for us, but they collected food for other districts as well. So I like the idea that we're taking care of ourselves while we're in this great need, and we're extending that to other districts. We know that food banks typically are used during the last week before the SNAP recipients get their next amount of money. So we know that food banks cannot hold. So we are hopeful that we continue to get lots of donations and when this all gets sorted out. I was also at the Urban League Conference, sat next to Mr. Superintendent Smalling.
At least she didn't call you late for dinner.
And I attended a presentation about artificial intelligence that was actually presented by our fellow board member, Todd Butler. And we talked about what that might look like in our schools and how would that affect critical thinking skills. And many years, I'm sorry?
Thank you. Tiana.
Greatly, yes, yes. So, to your point, there is a school called the Waldorf School that is in different areas of the country. Specifically, I'm speaking about the one that is in South Silicon Valley, where we have a lot of parents who participate in this school. And in this school, not only do they not have cell phones, they do not use any technology at all, and they will begin to use this a little tiny bit as they get into high school. So part of what this presentation was about, how do we maintain equity? So if our children are not using critical thinking skills as often as, say, these kids at Waldorf schools, we will begin to see more of a discrepancy in terms of critical thinking skills. So I hear you 100%. And basically, that's it for the past couple months. I think I got everything in here. And thank you. Thank you, Bill. Veterans Day. Sean, your son, I've been thinking about him a lot. And I hope that everybody has a time to sit back, reflect, and think about what our service people do for our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Mr. Bonagoro.
It will be quick. Starting off with Shauna and Ashley, really appreciate the comments that you made with your GASA presentation. In particular, I was just really happy to see the emphasis on the literacy efforts that we're making, including the emphasis on vocabulary development. That's something that we really need to, we need the whole scope of the science of learning being applied. And I see that happening here, the work that all our staff is doing to get up to speed with the ARC core curriculum and the professional learning that's going on. That's really great to hear. I want to thank the veterans as well. One of my liaison schools, Bill, you mentioned one of the schools, Buckman Heights, is doing a veterans breakfast on Thursday. I think that's really nice. Thank you to you guys and your family members. And along with that, it's Election Day. We wouldn't have Election Days without our veterans. There's still, if I stop talking now, about 45 minutes for some of you maybe to get out and vote still. So thank you all. Appreciate everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Bonagoro. Vice President Stenzel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief with my comments, but I just wanted to reflect on two things I got to go to in the past month, and both, ironically, were on the same day. The first one was I got invited to go to Bob Johnson, and I just wanted to say what an amazing opportunity for our students. To echo Mary's comments, it's nothing short of a miracle what they're doing there. I think the man's name is John Love. Guy has a heart of gold, truly. And my challenge to the community that may watch is we need more of you to do what he's doing and their organization. Step up to the plate and connect with us, connect with our students, give them an opportunity because our students here are the future. I truly believe that. So I can't say any more than already has been said, other than that they're fantastic. Later on that night, I went to the Phoenix Academy open house. It was a great turnout. I have stepped in Phoenix maybe once before that for a mini graduation earlier in the year. So it was kind of neat to go around and actually see what goes on there and just the diverse viewpoints and whatnot, and all of the different students there. It was really wonderful. And I'm looking forward to learning more about Phoenix and what they do for our district. I think we kind of covered Veterans Day, but I do want to give you guys a thanks for the service and everything that goes on there. It's an important thing to acknowledge. Ridge Road Fire District for their donation. Thank you for that. And then lastly, and I haven't heard it yet, but I'm going to be the first to say it, I guess. Since we don't have a board meeting later this month, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope it's a good one. Cheers.
Thanks, Vice President Stensel. Couple things, I'll be brief, so people can go vote, like Board Member Bonagorio said, if they haven't. I can't believe our fall sports are ending, our winter sports are starting, we're 10 weeks in. It's where's the first 10 weeks went, 30 weeks to go, right, Bailey? So I just want to thank our veterans, the service that they give this country, and sometimes they're probably one of our most forgotten segments of society is our veterans, our homeless veterans. So keep our veterans in mind. I want to thank Mr. Maloney for his service, Mr. Butler for his daughter's service, for, everybody's family members, or, whether it's grandparents, spouses, children that serve. Being in the armed services is a commitment for your family. There's a lot of stress, so I want to thank our families as well for supporting their service members. I want to thank Ridge Road again. I know I said some things earlier, but Ridge Road has been a long-term community partner of the school district. They were initially with GTA doing Codes for Kids. We did that for several years. Obviously, the amazing RT program, and way back about 10 years ago, they taught CPR to every student in our secondary schools. So they've had a long-term commitment to the school district, and I just want to appreciate them. They continued that with that donation this evening. So I want to thank them again for that. And I would be remiss, because the number of people that have told me about Sister Mary Amnesia and the amazing job she did, I would be remiss. I hear you did a great job, Bailey. I appreciate what you did. And everybody says you did a fabulous job, and Nonsense was outstanding. So thank you, and I would appreciate that. And as Vice President Stensel said, happy Thanksgiving. Remember what the holiday's for. It's been a long year, and, appreciate the time you have with your family and friends and what the day is for. It's not just about football, Mr. Butler. And with that, Mr. Maloney.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second by Vice President Stensel. Everybody's in favor, I assume. Have a good evening.